And here we are, raising the roof. That countdown music just gets you in a certain kind of vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, we going. We showtime, baby. We going.
Here we go. Here we go. We are live here on the Dirty Pocket. I myself, Stacey Bauman, joined by the scout, Daniel Kelly, writer for Sports Illustrated, New York Jets, and Detroit Lions. And we are here this week, and we are glad to be here. Him in Key West, Florida, me out in the Portland, Oregon area, and it is hot out here. What's going on in Florida?
Well, I tell you what, it's summertime. It's humid. That's what's going on. It's
Wow.
humid in the Dirty Pocket. Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's no need to take a shower because you'll take one when you walk outside the door.
It's hot here too, man. It's scorching out here. And, everybody in the West is worried about water. Not so much here in Oregon, but a little south in that California zone. And people are starting to freak out a little bit. So, and with good reason. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to come off the edge and dirty the pocket. We're going to talk football. And I'm excited for this week because we are going to chat it up about a number of quarterbacks that we think could shock and awe in 2022. But in the way of getting started, as is tradition, have you come prepared with any kind of beverage as you often do?
I have actually, and we're coming off the edge tonight, just like I come off the edge on Twitter, fans. Just like I come off the edge, because I'm the hottest edge rusher on social media. So hold on. And I even hey, for tonight, I mean, we're talking quarterbacks. Well, hold on, let me show the drink first, and I got another surprise for all of us.
Let's get into the drink, as is tradition.
By the way, it looks like the sun's shining on you.
It is. The sun is shining. I mean, Look, it doesn't get dark here now till a little after 9 o'clock. It's June, almost July in the West Coast. Here we go. Oh, the sun. Oh, boy. Flaming hot mountains.
Nelly, let me tell you about Keith Jackson. Look at this.
What is in that shit? Oh, no.
Look at this. This is flaming hot Mountain Dew. Okay, I've never tasted this before, so it's going to be a first on the show.
Oh, this is like live. You're having your first taste test.
Live.
Oh, wow.
So
God. That looks hideous.
Hey, look at that. Okay. Now I could do an impromptu, like a elevator, like an elevator speech, like they say.
Okay.
Okay. So
sure.
let me see what it tastes like here.
Here we go. Flaming hot Mountain Dew, folks. Oh, man. I can hear your colon screaming from here.
That's pretty good. Okay. That leaves a hot taste in my mouth. Okay. So I'm going to be breathing fire tonight. Okay. So here we go. Okay. Here we go. Ready for the commercial?
Okay. Give us your Saturday Night Live commercial.
Okay. Here we go. Arsenio Hall. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, man. Arsenio.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh. Dog fountain. Get it? I got the Browns hat on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, when it comes to the NFL Dirty Pocket, and we're talking about the quarterbacks that are going to shock the world, reach for a flaming hot Mountain Dew that's going to be just as hot as these quarterbacks we talk about tonight. Available in grocery stores everywhere.
Good God. Call us PepsiCo. I mean, they're getting some big play with this massive audience we have.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Oh, my God. Flaming hot Mountain Dew. What is next? I mean, God, that stuff. I can hear your organs screaming out like, no. Good grief, man.
Good stuff. This is what you need before bedtime.
No, I don't need that unless I'm trying to strip paint off something. That stuff is raspy, man.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's good.
Okay.
What are you drinking? What's going on with you?
I'm hydrating the right way. Okay. I'm hydrated. Look at these. Look at the skin. Look at this youthful glow.
Look at me. I still get carded when I buy a lottery ticket sometimes. So.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to me much anymore. Nope, I'm hydrating with the good stuff. Just some good old water. Let's stay healthy, right? Yeah. So let's talk quarterbacks, man. And it has been an insane week in the NFL, and I think we say that every week because that's just the way it is now. God, times have changed from 30 years ago. In the NFL that I grew up in. I don't want to talk about Desean Watson, even though we're in trial day number 3. I don't even want to bog this show down with that. I am really curious what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield as we're starting to hear some rumors that the Seahawks and the Panthers both have some interest in the former first pick of the NFL draft. And of course, he is wearing his brand new, fresh off the presses, Desean Watson jersey, inviting further controversy to what has already been, according to you, a week from hell on Twitter. I don't know why you do
Everybody
this
take your screenshots. Take your screenshots. Save the receipts, everybody.
Look, this is one thing that people are probably laughing. We argue about. He is not playing this year, man. If it is, it's later in the year. There's no way they can let this slide, innocent or not. I think we're going to see some ugly stuff, bro. But the jersey's fresh. I'm sure those are selling like hotcakes.
Absolutely. I barely got one.
I'll bet. Yep. Okay. Well, enough on that nonsense. Let's talk about some quarterbacks that we fully believe are going to play this year. I had an interesting show last week on the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons and his friends out there in Dallas, we both agreed that we don't see flaming hot. Yeah, flaming hot. God, what does that do to your bladder, man? Like, I don't even want to know. It's like a cayenne pepper inside you.
Yeah, I know. Where's MTO? They asked me if I'm going to run to the can.
I do not know. I'm sure that MTO will show up. He's been loyal. And I often wonder if he's okay. We should send him a gift. But
I know.
Flaming hot. So let's talk quarterbacks. We're not going to go team specific this week. We're going to drill down on some young guys, maybe not so young guys, that we think are going to go on a shock and awe campaign in 2022. And I don't know if there's somebody specifically that you would like to start off with. I was going to suggest that we start off in Miami.
Oh, yes. Down Miami Vice. That's my favorite show of all time. So,
okay.
I'm in Key West. I mean, that's not far from Miami. And I did live up in the suburb of Miami a few years back before we even moved down here. So I actually lived by Pro Player Stadium at one point. So, it's a good starting point. We can start there.
Okay, let's start in Miami, where I think it's going to end up being one of the more interesting years for the Miami Dolphins and their fans. They've gone through a lot of crap the last few years. And of course, they've been in the AFC West with Tom Brady for longer than they would probably like to talk about. But they really haven't seen a lot of good stuff to talk about since Dan Marino. Suddenly now they could quite possibly, with some really big changes in the offseason, be looking at a quarterback that many people, we all remember tanking for Tua. We all remember that when he was with Alabama and he put on a show to win that national championship.
Great game.
God, that was a great game. Yeah. Great game. Loaded roster. But there is Mr. Tagovailoa in Miami. He has himself a new coach in Mr. Daniels, who I think is going to be a reporter, soundbite heaven. Also happens to be brilliant offensively, as we saw in San Francisco. Okay. What say you about Tua as we enter the 2022 season? I think he's going to be one of those guys that shocks in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you do that last name again for us one more time? That was so beautiful.
Tagovailoa.
Wow.
And I hope I'm not saying that incorrectly. No disrespect intended.
That rolls off your tongue like butter.
I'd rather say Panay Sewell. It's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Absolutely. Or how about Ralph Boshenko, Muhammad Al-Wadibi, or all the rest of the names are Chadiana Hanatu, all the rest of the guys I remember back in the day.
Yeah. But, you know what's really easy for me to say that I think is a good. No. Don't say it again. I think being able to say world champion Matthew Stafford is. I mean, that just rolls off the tongue. But let's get into Tua Tagovailoa, who is, I think, has taken some undue heat over the last couple years, and I think that they went out. No matter what you think of the Miami front office or whatnot, they went out and they committed to their football team. They got themselves a dynamic young coach from one of the younger coaching trees. They got themselves unbelievable wide receivers in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, the trade that shocked everyone. They absolutely shored up their offensive line at left tackle with Teron Armstead. What do you see out of Tua this next season, Scout?
The Miami Dolphins are my Super Bowl team in the AFC.
What?
Yep.
Really? I mean, that's shock and awe.
right off the bat, we're coming off the edge.
That is dirty pocket exclusive right there.
Let me tell you, make sure you save the sound bite, save the receipts, put that one on there. Preseason hasn't even started yet. Miami Dolphins, Super Bowl bound. Let me say this, okay, is that I am a huge Tua fan. Okay, I'm a huge Tua fan, and you're right, Stacy. He has come under unjust, really criticism. It's amazing. I sit here and watch these national narratives, which I think are nothing more than a bought and paid for infomercial by agents and the teams push their agendas. Because remember last year, all these teammates and everything are supposedly coming out and saying, Tua can't play. It's like some kind of scrimmage you had in the rain or something. He threw 5 interceptions. It went crazy. Listen, Tua is a natural-born leader. Tua is a natural-born champion. When I saw that play at Alabama, when he came in and threw that touchdown, I turned to my wife, Samantha, and said, yep, he's got it. That's it. You just know when you see certain plays, right?
Yeah.
And they sit there and they talk about this national narrative about his arm strength and all this different stuff. My old boss, Scott Pioli, came out this week and said, don't worry about his arm strength. He'll be just fine. And, of course, that's Bill Parcells' son-in-law. I used to work with the New York Jets. So I'm not worried about the arm strength at all. And they got a lot of weapons. So let me say this, okay? Mike McDaniel is the most fascinating offensive mind in the game today. And I believe I'm fascinated by Coach McDaniel. I would love to work for the Miami Dolphins and work with Coach McDaniel.
Wow.
Because just the offensive mind he is, and he seems to be really just a really intelligent, really a brilliant guy, a brilliant coach. And I think they're going to really sneak up on some people this year and cause a lot of noise down there in Miami. When you have, they brought in Cheetah, of course, they brought in Tyreek Hill. Woo! You talk about a Miami Vice sports car. That baby can roll. Okay, that's one thing. But they also went out and added some other pieces around them that have been a little bit more quiet. They were able to bring in Trent Sherfield. That's who we were trying to remember last week from the 49ers, the receiver that Trey Lance started to develop some chemistry with, but they grabbed him as well. And then, of course, they got Raheem Mostert, too, at running back. They got some other good weapons, too, that come in there. So I think that, you mentioned the left tackle from the Saints. I think they have a really – really good team down there, and Tua is going to make a lot of noise, and that's why I've been saying when I've been writing for the Jets that, they got to load up here, because when you look at the Miami Dolphins, you already got the Bills and the Patriots in that division.
Yeah.
You got Miami too. That's going to be a three horse race there to the finish line.
So, God, I got to tell you, and we didn't even mention that. He's loaded with weapons. You mentioned the running backs. We talked about Waddle. We talked about Tyreek Hill, Cheetah. We neglected to mention Mike Gesicki, who I think is top 5 tight end in the league, super athletic. There's not a lot of excuses now. Tua is surrounded by a lot of talent, and he has a talented, innovative head coach. But, man, you're talking AFC champion. You've got Tua beating Josh Allen in that division.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wow. Not a wild card. You've got them taking the division from the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I don't know how they're going to get in, but I know they're going to get in. Once they get in, they're going to run the table.
Okay. Well, it's not like they don't have, kind of a dearth of young quarterback talent in that division. You talk about Zach Wilson for Sports Illustrated, the Jets. Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, no matter how you chop it up. Mac Jones is absolutely up-and-comer, top 15 quarterback in his sophomore year. Oh, timeout.
First charge, timeout.
You're getting sick on the flaming hot Mountain Dew, aren't you? You got to go throw up.
This stuff is catching up with me.
Oh, God.
No, but check this out, okay? I do write for the Jets, and I do write about Zach Wilson, but I am not high on Zach Wilson. You know that.
I do know that. I didn't mean to mislead. I'm saying
B-U-S-T, bust.
Yeah, I don't agree yet. I don't agree, as you know, but it really is something. We're undergoing kind of an interesting period in the NFL for us old timers, where all of a sudden there's all these young quarterbacks to talk about, good, bad, and ugly. It doesn't matter.
Tom Brady's still playing. We're okay.
Yeah. You feel for the guy. You know what's going to happen. Meet Aaron Donald. But AFC East, I mean, Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Tua, Zach Wilson. You're right. Zach's going to have a tough time, but they've tried to build around Zach too. So, okay, we'll move on from Tua. I think that's as bold a prediction as I've gotten out of the Scout this early in a Dirty Pocket episode. AFC champions. The Scout picks the Miami Dolphins to get their asses handed to them by the Los Angeles Rams next season. Wow.
Who's the Rams over there?
Oh, well, that's my prediction.
Okay. Oh, strange.
I want to move on. I'm going to keep us clipping on these quarterbacks because there's some interesting stories. I'm going to move on to a guy that I happen to know you're high on. I don't know that I'm high on, but I think he's got a raw deal. I think he has more talent than we're talking about. And that's Mr. Daniel Jones in New York, who the Giants said, we're not going to pick up his fifth-year option. And he's had, how many coaches has he had? Joe Judge, Pat Shurmur. He's on his third one in 5 years. Mm-hmm. He hasn't had Saquon. He hasn't had his wide receiver core all healthy. Sterling Shepard at one point, Golden Tate. Kenny Golladay was hurt. I know you're a big fan of Kadarius Toney. Have we given Daniel Jones a raw deal? Do you expect to see him rebound? Oh, and I forgot that Jason Garrett was there too as his offensive coordinator. I mean, this poor kid, he's just been tossed around in his 4 or 5 years in New York. What do you expect to see out of him with Brian Daboll this year?
Comeback player of the year.
What? Scout, that flaming Mountain Dew stuff is just AFC champion, Miami Dolphins, comeback player of the year, Daniel Jones. Really?
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, I put out a YouTube video. If you want to go check it out on my YouTube channel, I believe that the New York Football Giants are going to be the surprise team in the NFC this year.
Wow.
Absolutely. And the reason why, 2 words, 1 name, Brian Dabble.
He's a good coach.
Yeah, this guy, you talk about, see, here's the thing. This is the direction we're kind of going in the NFL right now, okay? Is we're going towards these innovative brainiacs on offense is where this thing's kind of going. You know, with your old coach going up to Minnesota, we got Micah LaFleur out there with the Jets. You know, we got these. You know, we got McDaniel down with Miami. You know, we got all these different quarterbacks. I mean, not quarterbacks, but all these different coaches and offensive minds and all these guys. You know, around the league. And Brian Dabble is, to me, I mean, in 2019, when I interviewed in Washington with team president at the time, Bruce Allen. You know, I put together a proposal, and within that proposal, I proposed that the Washington Redskins at the time, which was their name in 2019, would bring in Brian Dabble. I really like him. He is very impressive. And the thing about Brian Dabble that's most impressive to me from his days in Buffalo is he always spread the ball around. It never went to the same receiver, anybody 2 plays in a row. He had different targets all the time. And the thing that I love most about Brian Dabble is the unpredictability that he brings to an offense until he brings against the NFL defense. And I think that when you couple that type of offensive mind, now keep in mind, Brian Dabble, okay, it's kind of like a science project. You go into a science lab and that wild mad scientist who starts throwing, putting together Mountain Dew with Coca-Cola and, Pepsi and puts a little water in it and a little Jolt and a little paprika and a little Tabasco and
geez.
And listen,
sounds like diarrhea, man.
Brian Dabble, okay, this is not where I was going with this, Stacy. Brian Dabble has the best of both worlds. Okay, he comes from Nick Saban's tree, and he also comes from Bill Belichick's tree. Okay, I mean, he comes from both backgrounds. This guy has got 2 geniuses as mentors. Okay, now you put him, ironically, okay, for those of us old enough to remember the tree where the tree was planted, Bill Parcells, of course, with the New York Football Giants, the tree that Brian Dabble comes from, one of the branches way up on top of the tree with leaves on it, and it's all blowing in the wind. The coaching trees, we call this thing, okay? Brian Dabble comes from the Bill Belichick, which comes from the Bill Parcells tree. Parcells' claim to fame was the New York Football Giants. That's where Belichick got his first big beginnings as a defense coordinator. Well, now Brian Dabble returns to the same place. And I think that they're going to sneak up on a lot of people this year. And this is nothing that could be nothing. I mean, nothing like Joe Judge's Giants. Okay, I couldn't stand that. Okay, but this is going to be a very interesting flavor of football. And Daniel Jones, listen, in 2019, when I evaluated Daniel Jones with the Giants, I put a blue chip grade on him. I really liked Daniel Jones when I evaluated him in 2019, when I put those reports together for Mr. Allen. And I just really think that he's got the size, he's got the arm, and I think Brian Dabble is going to put him in position to win.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little higher on him than I think most too. I think Daniel Jones at times has shown a lot of talent. And when you really look at his snapshot of what he did while he was in New York and what he did and didn't have, I think we've sold him short. I'm a little skeptical on the Giants not picking up his fifth-year option unless they've got their eyes on C.J. Stroud and they're just going to planning on tanking it out again this year, because it's not like they could just replace Daniel Jones.
Right. That's a great point. And this is one of the greatest moves that Brian Dabble has made so far, because he has put Daniel Jones in a position where he has to prove it. If Daniel Jones comes out this season and does what I think he's capable of doing, and what you talked about, touchdown Stacy, we've seen good things out of him. He's going to break the bank in free agency, whether it be for the Giants or another team. Dabble put him in a position of a prove-it year, which is exactly where you want to put a quarterback who has a lot of talent, but is a little on the borderline, a little questionable how he's going to play out, how he's going to turn out. It's a perfect positioning to place Daniel Jones in by Brian Dabble. This is part of the genius of who Brian Dabble is.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Giants might have kicked their own butt right there if Daniel Jones goes out and lights a fire, and then he comes knocking on their door going, it's time for some real money, because they may have some decisions to make on that roster. They've added a lot of talent. The draft, they had high draft picks, Kayvon Thibodeau, and they are flaming hot.
And it pains me. It pains me to talk about the Giants like this, because growing up as this kind of a fan, one of the worst days of my life was the 1986 NFC Championship game when the Giants beat the Redskins 17-0 in the Meadowlands with the swirling winds, where they open up the garage door and the swirling winds, and where Jimmy Hoffa's buried the 10-yard line, all that. It's like I have terrible memories of the Meadowlands. So for me to pick, say nice things about the Giants is really something.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're going to sneak up on some people this year. They're going to be a real surprise.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I tend to think that NFC East division will be a little bit, a little on the smaller side, but a little bit of a bloodbath. I think all four of those teams have talent. It depends on who puts it together. Carson Wentz, is he going to do it? Is it going to be Daniel Jones? Is Dak Prescott going to overcome what I think is a really not a great Cowboys roster?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you got the Eagles, who have loaded up, so to speak, at wide receiver with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and then Jalen Hurts. So it's going to be interesting. I think Daniel Jones is just one of those guys that can shock. Okay, we're going to move into a little deeper, I should say, into the NFC, and I'm going to throw out a name at you that I am very curious. I'm not going in order because I see that smirk, and I know you think you know who's coming. It's not him.
I always anticipate. I know who it is. I know who it is.
Okay. I want to talk about the Windy City. I want to talk about Justin Fields.
I knew you were going there.
Okay. I thought that you were thinking some guy that starts with Jimmy and ends with G, but we're not talking about that right now. So Justin Fields in his sophomore season, when you look at, I think you and I, this is one thing we really agreed on, was that we thought Fields in a nutshell was the class of that quarterback group that got picked, the Trey Lances, the Zach Wilsons, the Mac Jones. Mac Jones, I think, is going to be good. But we thought that Justin Fields had that talent. He had that moxie. But when you look at him in Chicago, now, obviously, they've replaced Matt Nagy at head coach. And I think that they needed that. They needed a culture change. But when you look at that Chicago roster or just at Fields last season, what do you see for 2022?
Chicago Bears, NFC North champions.
What? Oh my God. I mean, we've got Dolphins going to the Super Bowl. Okay. Do you think the Chicago Bears, with the roster they have and Justin Fields in his sophomore season, is going to take out Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
Absolutely.
He's going to overtake the Vikings.
Absolutely. The Vikings are a doormat. Absolutely.
And do we want to talk about the Lions or nah? Not so much? Okay. Wow. Okay. So in the NFC North, you think that Justin Fields is going to outduel the likes of Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely.
Tell us why. I'm looking at that depth chart, and I got to tell you, I love what they have in a running game in David Montgomery. I look at their wide receiver core. They lost Allen Robinson. He made a move over to the world champion Los Angeles Rams. And I'm looking at his pass catchers now: Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, Velus Jones Jr., Equanimeous St. Brown, who they got from the Packers. What have they done to help Justin Fields in his second year?
Brought in the new coach.
You really think that that's enough?
Absolutely, because here's the thing. When I looked at because I looked at the Bears extensively last year, okay? I looked at everybody extensively. This is all I do. I live in a little cave with NFL Game Pass. Okay?
Drinking flaming hot Mountain Dew.
Absolutely. And I had a sandwich by the ocean today, so sometimes I do get out, but sometimes
well done.
But, thank you. But
well done.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, okay, is that when I went back and I looked at Justin Fields, okay, first of all, Justin Fields was my QB1 coming out 2021 NFL draft, coming out the Ohio State. I really liked Justin Fields coming out. I didn't love him. I really liked him. I will not use the word love too much.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right.
Sure.
But I really liked him. When Fields was at Ohio State, okay, and I know Ohio State's, people, he's a quarterback, came from Ohio State, he can't play. Of course, nobody's going to say that about C.J. Stroud. But never mind. And, of course, C.J. Stroud's my QB1 this year. But when I looked at Fields at Ohio State, he was just mature beyond his years. I loved his eyes. I loved what he showed. I loved the poise. I loved the maturity. He looked like such a brilliant young man in the pocket. The way he made quick decisions. He just looked around the field. He zipped it. And he's a true dual threat quarterback. This guy is the next Randall Cunningham in the National Football League. This guy can. This is not one of these jokers like Trey Lance, who's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Okay, we're talking about Justin Fields is a guy who can legitimately beat an NFL defense with his arms or his legs. Okay, I mean this guy can run.
With that.
This guy's got.
He's athletic. Yeah.
Now listen. Here's the thing. Okay, Chicago with the running attack that they have that you hit on with Montgomery. Okay. But with the running attack, of course, they had the one setback to it running back. But with the running game that they have, okay, I mean, to me, the play action is there for the taking, okay? And Fields has got a bazooka. Fields can push that ball vertical, okay? And he's got the arm. And what I would like to see Chicago do is just do a lot of little just rollouts, play action, drag the tight end across, little quarterback waggle, roll out, boom, hit a tight end, coming across the middle. They got that play. They got a good coaching staff. I just feel that Justin Fields is primed. He is going to be the breakout quarterback of the 2021 draft class this year. Okay. Wow. And this guy's going to come into his own. Aaron Rodgers. That's like yesterday's newspaper, okay? He's the
MVP 2 years in a row.
He's the most selfish, self-centered football player in the National Football League. This guy couldn't lead prisoners out of jail cells if they're on a jailbreak, okay? This guy's not a leader. He'll never win another Super Bowl as long as he lives. He's not a leader. The first thing I would do in Green Bay is cut him, okay? Get rid of him. Oh, absolutely. He's not a team player. He's a me-centric player who had to take so much money that couldn't even afford to keep Devontae Adams. Okay, it's all about Aaron Rodgers. And guess what? Now he doesn't really have any receivers to throw to, except for maybe I did like Romeo Doubs coming out of Nevada a lot. Christian Watson is like it's like the Tonight Show's comedy punchline. Okay, he's a joke. He's an absolute bust. He's a disgrace. I mean,
man,
where's Faithful Trey? NDSU. This guy is a joke. Christian Watson, are you kidding me? It looks like he runs a 4.65 40 playing against glorified high school football talent at NDSU. Okay, he couldn't even hit the edge on a jet sweep. He's not going to be anything. Okay, so I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers and what they're trying to do up there. Not at all. Not at all. I got Justin Fields. I got Justin Fields. As a matter of fact, last year pre-draft, if you go check it out for NFL Draft Diamonds, okay, pre-draft, I said Justin Fields would be in the playoffs. Last year, I think I was a year ahead of myself. It's going to be this year that Justin Fields is in the playoffs, with the Chicago Bears win the NFC North.
Yeah, Justin Fields, I think, it really has the talent. He reminds me a little bit more of like a Steve McNair in stature and athleticism. He looks like a really strong kid, and I do know that he loves the game of football, which really impresses me.
Yeah,
I'm just really skeptical looking at those weapons. I know that the new coach, Matt Eberflus, coming over from the Colts, I believe.
Say that again.
Eberflus? Am I saying that right?
Great with those names.
With
those names.
I'm winging it. Listen, I haven't had any flaming hot Mountain Dew on my tongue to make me talk like this.
Yeah. I'm sweating. I'm sweating. I don't know if you can see
I believe it. Okay, so you've got Justin Fields doing this. I'm a little more skeptical. I don't think the Bears have done much. I hate the fact that they're letting Robert Quinn sit out OTAs on the defensive side of the ball. I just think the Bears, I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for Fields, but I don't like the look of that roster at all. And then, of course, the Khalil Mack move now that he's with the Chargers. I just feel like the Bears could be lean in Chicago, but you've got him as beating the two-time MVP Aaron Rodgers in the NFC North. Okay,
hey, that
it's on record.
That MVP thing is a political thing. You know how it goes.
I don't totally disagree with that, but man, listen, this is one thing, and I don't necessarily disagree. Rodgers' personality may rub people the wrong way. I get it.
Not a leader.
But I'll tell you what, he is incredibly talented at playing football. He is. I know we don't agree on this one, but
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Justin Fields.
I mean, Tom Brady should have been the MVP.
No, give me a break. No, yeah. We're going to talk about that. Nice segue. I'm going to move into a shocking name here in the interest of time. I want to cover a couple more guys, and I'm going to throw something that might throw other people for a loop that I'm even asking about this. But you asked about Tom Brady. What about Kyle Trask? What about Kyle Trask? I mean, is Father Time never going to reach up and yank Tom Brady back to planet Earth? Can we expect to maybe see some Kyle Trask in 2022 in Tampa?
I think
is he a best kept secret?
Yeah, he is. He's the best kept secret in probably the NFL right now as far as backup quarterbacks are concerned. Yeah, Kyle Trask. I think
Trask, send us money, Kyle. Send us money.
I think we're going to see a fair amount of Kyle Trask this year. I just think it's not going to be Father Time, but I think it I don't know. Something's gonna pull Brady out for a little bit, I think, and I don't know for how long. But Kyle Trask. Listen, Kyle Trask. I had him rated higher coming out in 2021 than Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance. Okay, Kyle Trask was my QB3. Behind Fields was QB1, and then QB2 was Mac Jones, and QB3 was Kyle Trask. Wow. Kyle Trask at Florida is a very intriguing football player. Very intriguing when I watch his game film. He is very unorthodox, but the more I watched him, the more he grew on me. He's got kind of a three-quarter sidearm, type of delivery, but he is a unorthodox gunslinger. Listen, there is a reason why, okay, the Super Bowl champions at the time, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, went out and drafted Trask that high. There's a reason. There's a reason why Arians brought him in. They really liked him. He's got high intangibles, and he's a very interesting player that not a lot of people know a lot about, of course, because it was the Tom Brady show last year. But they have a very capable backup and a much better backup situation than most teams have in the NFL. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, who's Kyle Trask? Well, you'll see. You'll see who Kyle Trask is, because I believe that he's going to be a baller down there in Tampa.
So you think he actually gets some game time this year?
I do.
Interesting.
I don't want to speak anything for Tom Brady's life with what could happen, but I see Trask. In my mind's eye, I see him playing.
What week do the Buccaneers play the Los Angeles Rams? Because that might be Tom Brady's last week if Aaron Donald gets to him a couple times. Kyle will be thrown in there right about there. Look, Kyle Trask, I thought was talented too. I thought he went a little under the radar in that quarterback class. I think it'd be really interesting if he actually gets some playing time. It would be fun to see if he gets in with the starting lineup of the Buccaneers. Like, he's got all the receivers. He's got, of course, you won't have Gronkowski. You won't have Gronk. But if they could get him in there with that running game, Leonard Fournette's coming back, it'll be interesting to see what the kid might be able to do if Mr. Brady, for some terrible reason, just has to go take a break.
If I'm Tampa Bay, okay, this year, I'm almost tempted to just play Tom Brady in my training camp and let him throw the ball and warm up his arm in the bullpen. I'm almost tempted just to say, just let Trask start the preseason games. Just keep Tom Brady on the bench. I mean, he has nothing to prove in the preseason. All you're doing is putting him in harm's way for no good reason at all. Just let Brady sit for the preseason and let Kyle Trask play with the number ones. I think would be very smart.
Yeah, that's what Super Bowl champion Sean McVay does in Los Angeles. He does not play Matt Stafford or his starters in the preseason. That's an interesting strategy. I like that. Get a little Trask time. Very interesting. Okay, so that's a name that probably no one was expecting us to throw out. I'm going to throw another weird one at you. Again, I'm going to finish up with a whopper.
Do you remember tanking for Trask? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember. I did watch him in Florida, so
absolutely.
I thought that he was a good player. To me, he reminds me of kind of a I don't know why this name pops up, but he kind of reminds me of Jim Kelly. Just kind of a bigger, thicker kid, sits in the pocket. He can do a few things. So I think it'd be kind of interesting to see him get some time this year. So I hope you're right. Okay, here's a name, and we're talking quarterbacks, so don't let this one throw you. What can we expect to see now in New Orleans with quarterback Taysom Hill?
Well, it's interesting you asked me that because I'm actually writing an article about him right now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
You might be seeing me moving into the Saints territory.
What? Who dat? Really?
I might be doing a little writing for Who Dat Nation this year.
Oh my goodness! I hope you're going to go easier on them than another fan base. So, okay.
Yeah, of course I am, because this fan base doesn't overpay and overdraft and overvalue undraftable rejects.
I like their coaching staff down there in New Orleans. So, I mean, Taysom Hill?
Staff. Yes, Taysom Hill.
Is he going to be, slash Swiss Army knife guy again? Is he going to take a backseat to Jameson? Are we done with the quarterback project now that Sean Payton's gone?
Here's the thing, okay? The thing about Jameson is he's I've heard he's walking around with a noticeable limp a few weeks ago. Ooh. I don't know about Jameson down there. And then they brought in Andy Dalton, which is on not 9 lives as a cat. He's on about his fourth life, I think, fifth life.
Yeah.
We all know what Andy Dalton's on his fourth team in 4 years. Bengals, Cowboys, Bears. Now he's with the Saints. And I really, the more I watched Taysom Hill, the more he grew on me, just kind of like Kyle Trask. And believe it or not, if you go do some research like I do, when I'm looking at football about 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, that that actually Taysom Hill is one of the few. I think it's if you go check it out on online, he is actually one of the few people that has an over 70% winning percentage as a starting quarterback. Otto Graham has like 81%, and he's up there, but he's out in the mid 70s, 77% or so winning percentage. So he's a winner. I mean, let's look at last year. Let's look at the reality. He came in down the stretch. And he won like 4 out of 5 games. He's a guy that gets it done. And this is another dual threat that adds another dimension to the offense. This guy can hurt you with his legs too. He can run, and he's a tough runner. He doesn't have the intangibles Tim Tebow had. People compare the two, but he knows how to win football games, and he is perfect for that specific organization. He fits the Saints.
So you're getting Michael Thomas back. You go out and get Chris Olave, another one of your favorites. You're starting to get back into that speed deep ball game, which Jameis Winston, by the way, is good at when he's not throwing interceptions.
Oh, and Winston's great at it.
Yeah, I mean, we're done with Taysom Hill at quarterback, right? If we watch him play, maybe this is a teaser for your article forthcoming, but I don't see Taysom Hill as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't see it. I think they've got to use him in different roles. That's my take. But you think that he might see a little time in the backfield?
I think so. I think that the Saints coaching staff with Dennis Allen, I think they're going to. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 2 quarterback system in the backfield there, and see Taysom line up at running back. That would be ingenious, actually. That would really be a competitive advantage, game day advantage for the New Orleans Saints if they lined up Taysom Hill at running back on certain plays. Nobody really knows what's going to happen with Kamara yet. I don't think that they've come up with a final decision on that.
That's not a pretty thing.
Right, but the first few games, or however long, if he's out or whatnot, I mean, putting Taysom Hill in that backfield adds another dimension, because this is something I suggested to Mark Trestman years ago, back when he took over as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I talked about, back when they had Cutler, I said, why don't you bring in, Tebow and put him behind Cutler and have a 2 quarterback system, because the defense, anything that's different outside the box can dominate the NFL. We've seen this happen time and time again. Look how the Wildcats took the NFL storm with Miami Dolphins. Anything that's different. If you have 2 quarterbacks in the game at the same time, there's things that teams don't know how to respond. Every single week, it's the same predictable thing. You go 3 wides, I go nickel. You go 4 wides, I go dime. If it's something that's different, you pitch it out to Taysom Hill. Jameson's under center. You pitch it out to Taysom Hill. He hits the edge. What's he going to do? Is he going to run, or is he going to pass? Whatever that corner does, he does the opposite. I think there's a lot of different trickery that could be mixed into that. And I think the Saints could gain, again, a huge game day advantage if they have both quarterbacks in the backfield at the same time. That would be very interesting to me.
Okay. Fair enough. Some interesting predictions there. Just a heads up. Again, I mentioned Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. We forgot about Jarvis Landry.
I love Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, you got Jameis Winston.
He's my guy. He's my guy from Cleveland.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, who's got a bit of an arm, and then you mentioned the backup position too. Just a heads up, Mr. Taysom Hill is not listed in the quarterback room for the Saints.
Tight end.
He's listed as a second string tight end in New Orleans. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, even in a limited role. I'm just going to say, okay. All right, folks, we're going to conclude the show, and we only got a few minutes. Going to bounce off a name. And I'm going to try to rein you in with the flaming hot influence that you've been under tonight.
Woo, this stuff is hot. I mean,
in the interest of time.
Can you smell my cologne tonight, by the way? Samantha always wants to know.
The truth is I can't, but Samantha, never mind. It is sexy, man.
Let me put it up to the.
Oh, there you go. All the difference in the world.
I got the skills to make meals, baby.
Oh, boy. Okay, we have a couple minutes left, And I am just going to ask the question that is not a mystery whatsoever if you're on Twitter following the Scout. Here we sit. We're about to enter July. Not much has changed. No big announcements. No big endorsements. Nothing seems to be going on. What is going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco?
He's going to start for the 49ers.
You're holding strong with this.
Oh, absolutely I am. Listen, there is no possibility. Okay, Kyle Shanahan is a very smart football coach. He's a very smart man, okay? He listen, the only quarterback Kyle Shanahan has been able to win with in San Francisco is Jimmy Garoppolo, affectionately known as Jimmy G. We're looking at 3 out of 5 losing seasons. Jimmy G's been the only guy that's been able to win for the 49ers, okay? And everyone, and there's a smear campaign out there, okay? Turn up your volumes, 49ers Nation, okay? There's a smear.
Go easy on these people. Go easy.
Come on. I mean, I got people trying to come at me from every angle, okay? And let's sweeten the pot a little bit, like they say in Vegas, okay? Let me push a few more chips up on the table so I can go ahead and take them all home. Okay, let's turn up the volume a little bit, okay? Let's turn up the volume a little bit more. Pump up the volume. You know, I could rap for you if you want me to. But
please don't.
I got such a rap following in the Bay Area.
Oh no.
I'm going platinum out there. But listen, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing, is that Jimmy G, okay, there's an anti-smear campaign out there in Jimmy Garoppolo that Julian Edelman's getting involved with. You know, that Bennett guy that played out there. Listen, I was hired by the guy that drafted those players, Bill Belichick. I looked Bill Belichick in the eyes and convinced him to hire me in my interview, okay, with the New York Jets. Locked eyes with them, didn't blink, looked at him, okay? Let me say this, okay? There's an anti-smear campaign out there going on with Jimmy Garoppolo that I believe Trey Lance's camp is funding, okay? I can't prove it, but I believe eventually it's going to come out because all these different national media outlets are coming out and saying this stuff, right? They're like, oh, yeah, Jimmy G, he can't play. Jimmy G, he's the B word. Jimmy G this, Jimmy G that. It looks stupid, okay? Because the thing of it is this, okay? You're talking about a quarterback. There's only 2 active quarterbacks in the National Football League that I know of over 50 starts that have won over 70% of their games. One's named Jimmy Garoppolo, and the other guy's name is Tom Brady, okay? This guy has won over 70% of his games. He's taken the San Francisco 49ers to 2 NFC Championship games in 3 years, 1 Super Bowl, and they're all like, he can't play. He can't play. Listen, Jimmy Garoppolo is superior to Trey Lance in every conceivable way on the game film and on analytics, except for Trey Lance can run slightly better. Jimmy Garoppolo is a dinosaur. Jimmy Garoppolo can't run to the mailbox, okay? But what Jimmy Garoppolo can do, okay, is he has a 2.4 second snap to release point of time, a very quick release time in the pocket. And whereas Trey Lance is a 3.37 snap to release point, which is the slowest in the NFL per PFF Pro Football Focus, okay? You know the difference between 2.4 seconds and 3.37 seconds? Not much to the common person, okay? You know what the difference is in the NFL? It's a difference between going to the hospital, you get hit so many times, okay? It's that extra second means so much, okay? Not only that, but Jimmy Garoppolo is 50% on third downs in the games I charted him on analytics against playoff contenders and playoff caliber teams. Trey Lance is 29%, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo is, you know, he's good in the short to intermediate parts of the field. He's a winner. His intangibles are off the charts. This is why Bill Belichick drafted him, okay? His intangibles. He gets everybody around him to play at a higher level. Jimmy Garoppolo is a class act. How much negativity have we heard out of Jimmy G? Nothing. Crickets. Now,
no, he's been a class act.
Act. Hasn't said a word about any of this nonsense, okay? Nothing, okay? Not a word. The San Francisco 49ers, I know this will break your heart, Stacey, because you love them so much. But the 49ers do not deserve Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo has been nothing but a class act. He's done nothing but win for that organization. And what I think that's really happening in San Francisco is that the 49ers fan base is frustrated because they haven't won another Super Bowl yet, okay? And they believe that the devil they don't know is better than the devil they do know. But that's not the case because Jimmy Garoppolo is a lot better quarterback than Trey Lance is. And I believe at the end of the day, here's how I believe it's going to play out quickly in the interest of time, okay? I believe that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are doing everything they can. Listen, the 49ers media is nothing but a puppet for the 49ers organization. It's a trade-off for credentials, and it's a trade-off for interviews, and they sing whatever the 49ers want them to sing, okay? It's like one big infomercial in the Bay Area. That's what this stuff is, okay? But listen, here's the situation. Now, I believe the 49ers are in way over their heads with Trey Lance, okay? And it's damage control. It's PR, public relations, damage control. Ever since Trey Lance, I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch made the decision to draft Trey Lance. I believe somebody else in the organization higher than them made the decision because they don't act like they want Trey Lance on the field. All they do is keep pushing them off, someday over the rainbow, someday, yeah, it's never – I mean, what happened to the trade package? Well, that went away too because an option quarterback who can't really throw the ball is not really a good viable option to run a package with, okay? But I think what's going to happen is that, we're going to have to see, we'll sell it the right way. We're going to have to see how Jimmy's arm looks in the training camp. And then Jimmy will come in there, okay? And Jimmy will start to throw and he'll start to play. And then they'll start to play in the preseason. And lo and behold, Jimmy's going to start looking better than Trey again because he's a lot better quarterback. And guess what? At the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan is going to go with the quarterback who can win, has the best chance of winning for him. And right before the first regular season, long story short, I believe he's going to slip Jimmy Garoppolo back into the starting lineup, and he's going to have some justification for it based on the preseason. He's going to use it to say, well, I just don't think he's ready yet.
That I don't disagree with that. Here's my take on this, and then we will close it because we know that this goes on and on for you. But I don't think Jimmy G will start. If he's still on the roster, I think that Shanahan is going to have to save face, and he is going to start Trey Lance. But where I agree with you is if Trey Lance is anything less than spectacular and they start dropping division games, you're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo in that football game. And I don't know how he's going to pull it off or what he's going to do it. But sometimes you just have to go, yep, maybe he didn't make a good decision here. I think this is probably, I know it is for you. Everyone knows it is for you, that this is a hot button subject to watch, but it's not as interesting to me as watching, Tua or what happens with Daniel Jones or some of the other stuff. But of course, as a guy who's a fan of the world champion Los Angeles Rams in the NFC West, I am watching the San Francisco 49er thing very closely because they have a good roster. You cannot afford to have a bad quarterback. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have got to find a way to compete in the playoffs against the Rams.
That's Jimmy G. That's Jimmy G.
Well, it's what's been the past has shown. There's no denying it. You can't say anything about it, folks. I mean, there's no denying it. Can Trey Lance play to that level in his second year?
Trey Lance can't play like that in his 5th year or 10th year. Trey Lance will never see a second contract, but now with the 49ers. But no, he can't play to that level at all. He doesn't have the confidence. That's a root of the problem. It's in his eyes. He's downtrodden. He doesn't have the energy level. He doesn't raise people's level of play like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's an option quarterback, basically. He's a project. Everyone keeps saying project. Everybody knew he was going to be a project. That's what all the supporters say. What kind of a project do you spend 3 number 1 draft picks on? I mean,
I think we already agree anything short of him coming out looking like Patrick Mahomes, it was a mistake. And there's just not going to, whether he might even be good, he might even be solid, but you're never going to be able to justify giving away 3 number 1s for a solid guy. You've got to have him be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. He's got to just absolutely explode onto the scene this season.
And one more quick thing. Okay. is that the 49ers have handled this situation so incredibly poorly. They have managed this situation so incredibly poorly because they've taken a quarterback that has such limited experience in high school and college. They spend, in a way, I kind of feel bad for Trey Lance because they take him and put him in a situation, give all this draft capital for him, and they put him in a situation from day one. Nobody quite knows what's going on with him. Now this whole offseason, listen, any coach that was committed to Trey Lance, what they should have come out right in the beginning of the offseason and say, hey, listen, Jimmy Garoppolo, thank you so much for your time here. We're moving forward with Trey Lance. He's our starter in 2022. We are in the month almost of July, folks. We're going to be watching fireworks next week. And the San Francisco 49ers, that locker room, still doesn't know who the leader is going into the 2022 NFL season. That is a disservice to that locker room. It's a disservice to that team, that organization, that franchise, and it's creating unrest and instability within the walls of that organization. And it's just been handled so poorly. And then all of a sudden, what's going to happen? I mean, nobody knows. But at the end of the day, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy in San Francisco.
Okay, there you go, folks. There's 5 or 6 players that we think are going to level us with shock and awe in 2022. Of that group, I expect to see Tua Tagovailoa make a big jump. You like that?
Do it again.
Tua Tagovailoa. I hope I'm saying that right, Tua. To make a big jump. I think that he's a guy that's not only got the coach, but he got the tools. And I always thought he had the talent. So let's see what he can do. I know people have compared him kind of to Drew Brees in stature. You know, he's a lefty, but let's go. It'll be interesting to see the AFC East be anybody but the New England Patriots. So good stuff, man. Okay, so here we are at the end of the Dirty Pocket tonight. Really solid show, some solid thoughts. Any parting shots that might be accentuated by flaming hot Mountain Dew? Jeez. God, that stuff looks awful, man.
Let me have a swing with it before I come out with my
okay. All right. Parting shots after a quick gulp of Mountain Dew flaming hot soda.
Boy, that's good. It's like fire going down my throat.
Eesh. God.
Okay, ready for my parting shot?
Parting shots with the Scout. Oh, boy. Number 4 in Cleveland.
Will not be suspended.
As good as the content of tonight's Dirty Pocket, number 4, Desean Watson, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, will not be suspended, according to the Scout. Okay.
How's that for a parting shot?
It's immortalized. It is immortalized. Wow. Parting shots for me. I just want to say that it is truly refreshing to know that OTA, not flaming hot refreshing, just truly refreshing to see a lot of the great news coming out of Los Angeles, where the world champion Los Angeles Rams will look to run it back, and we get closer and closer to OTAs with this strong rookie class. I just want to say kudos to Coach Sean McVay, who got married to his longtime fiance. Not a bad year for that guy, as he won a Super Bowl championship.
Congrats. Yeah, I like McVay a lot.
He got married. Yeah. Oh,
I love McVay. I love McVay, actually. I would love to work with him.
Yeah, that'd be fun. There you go. I'm coming along if you get that one. So, parting shots there to my Los Angeles Rams. I do want to say, on a sad note, I really miss Robert Woods. It's really hard for me to see him bouncing around in a Tennessee Titans uni. I'm struggling with that one. I'm just going to admit that right here. But that's it, folks. That's it from the Dirty Pocket. Some great information to take away from this. Some very bold predictions from the Scout, from AFC champions to Jimmy G being the Niners starting quarterback, and Desean Watson will not be suspended. Bold predictions, and might I even say flaming hot in nature with the Scout tonight. Thanks for joining us. Follow him at SI New York Jets, SI Detroit Lions. He teased us with a little stuff about New Orleans tonight. Stay tuned. You can catch me on Gridiron Icon. Follow us, like, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Argue with us. The Scout is very active there on Twitter at Whatever It Takes Book. So go check him out. Folks, thanks for joining us here on the Dirty Pocket, and we will see you all next week.
The Giants will win the NFC East.
Oh, parting shots. Thanks for joining us.